So like, yeah, I was gonna make a video today. I was gonna change my mind, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I want to talk about something. I want to speak my mind today. I want to say, you know what? I fucked up this week. You know? Nothing crazy. I'm talking about fighting games as usual, but I didn't necessarily make a promise, but kind of tried to play Blaze Blue with a friend. Didn't work out for me. It's not that I didn't like the game or anything weird, but there's just too many weird intricacies in the game, which, you know, you have to combo this character this way. There just seems to be certain body types, and I'm not really used to that unless it's like Virtua Fighter, things like that. When it's like a 2D fighter, usually you just get combos or you just get more combos, you know, like Zangief or something. In that game, it actually has some weird stuff with the hurt boxes going on, which you can't actually, you know, hit someone or do a certain combo. You have to sacrifice damage, and it's so weird playing a game like that. You know, anime games give me this perception that you should be hitting this combo, this way, this setup, whatever the fuck. It's like, that's not the case. You know, I don't know what the identity of the game is at this point, you know? Because, hell, you probably jump less in those games when you get to a certain level than you do fucking Street Fighter, believe it or not. Yeah, like all the Capcom faggots, we were saying, hey, anime games, man, all they do is jump and shit, all they do is do random shit. And it's like, nah, bro, you gotta really understand the intricacies of what's going on. Like, I understand that now. And I know that it's just not for me. I think Guilty Gear is better, at least currently, the one that we have, XR2, Rev 2. It's got a little bit more old school feel, a little more Street Fighter feel to it. You know, maybe it's the speed, maybe it's the pace of it. I'm not sure. It just seems a little bit more manageable. Combos genuinely work on everyone. The only thing I don't like probably is the gut system. Especially when I went down the brass tacks with the damn thing with me, one of my friends and stuff, and it was like, yeah, that is kind of weird, but none I probably can't get over. I still kind of wish, you know, VF could be accessible in a certain console, because that would be the fighting game I would play, honestly. If my PS3 didn't tank and all this other stuff. I never really sat down there and really played a fighting game and appreciated it for what it was in a while. Since 2014, I probably haven't done that. That was Virtua Fighter. I'm understanding Soul Calibur 6 a little bit, but we didn't really, you know, I bitched a lot about that game too at first. Soul Calibur 5 and a bunch of other weird shit. And it's funny how, like, now that, you know, they're doing things to make the games more accessible, I realize that accessibility is probably going to make things worse and not better for people who actually want to play these games. Now, let me explain that. It's because usually you can't go back to the older fighting game in that franchise and probably do competently, because you didn't have all these extra super duper mechanics telling you, hey, you know, I'm gonna help you right now dealing with this media. I'm gonna help you right now dealing with, you know, a bunch of weird shit and just back people off and stuff. Nah, man. It's not there, you know. So like, I heard a few people went back to Tag 2 and they were disappointed. That's not like Tag 7, but it turns out that's the best thing about it. And everybody was shitting on Tag 2 in comparison. Tag 7 is nothing that bad for what people thought Tag 2 was. It's just people. It turns out people playing the game wrong. When is that always the case? Probably a lot. I don't think SF5 is doing bad, except the netcode problem. There's really no excuse why I play a friend in something like Garou or something in KOF 14, and the netcode just seems like it's just better there. Seems like it's more consistent to me. Like it just, I don't know. It's just weird. But that's one thing I would have to shape up with some of these games. Netcode, right? Let's just have an okay single player experience for casuals. You know, maybe like what Quest mode did in Virtua Fighter 4, or like whatever NRS is doing currently. I don't know how they do it. Actually, I do know how they do it. I know why they do it. The only reason MK and all these other games are really popular the way they are because they take either very recognizable IPs, you know, in Injustice's case, it's the DC universe, and the use of blood in MK. You know, like I fought in people that they would do wake up DP every single time in Street Fighter. They had no neutral game, but for some fucking reason they knew 50-50s, meaties, a bunch of crazy ass resets in Mortal Kombat. And I was like, why can't you approach this game like that? You know? And it made me think, when me as a Street Fighter player, I go to anime games and I expect them to be a particular way, that's kind of wrong, honestly. You know, I just feel like some of my skill set, look at you, hear me? Skill set should be used at least some form of the time, you know? You didn't have a freaking game where literally fucking someone like Potemkin or Tager is exactly the opposite of what you expect grappler would be, at least tool-wise. Yeah, once you get in the game, you realize, yeah, you could probably do something about it, but it's just weird how they'll take something from SF and completely make it dial it up to 11, man, like, and just make it hard to deal with the most basic shit like air interactions, grounded footsies, and other shit like that. It made me think which games are really popular right now in terms of people liking the way they feel. I noticed this Tekken 7, Unis kind of got something going on, right? There was someone that said that, like Obama's video, I like to refer in this case, there was someone who said Guilty Gear is hard, and they play Tekken 7 and Unis or whatever. And I was thinking, you know, to me, I don't think Tekken 7 or I guess Unis was kind of, I can't really get into it with the characters. I don't really know the characters, but I can see why it's a little easy to get into. You have an auto fucking hop basically like KOF, except you don't need the execution. You know, you feel like you're getting this kind of experience where you can establish meaties, you can establish something. You feel like you're interacting with the game, and I feel like that's probably the most important thing. If I feel like I do something in one game and I feel like everything I'm doing that I know is just actually the wrong answer, and I never feel like I have full control of the situations, you know? Right? Like, I know it's not just only getting outplayed, it's like priorities of certain moves, and they're just nuts, man. Like, that's what's weird. That was what was weird about BlazBlue. Couldn't really pick a character that I really liked. I didn't know what kind of playstyle, honestly, I like, because I don't really go for a particular playstyle per se. I just go for whatever I think goes against, not really 100%, but rather something that kind of somewhat goes against the meta of the game, or something that makes those areas of the game way more understandable. Other times it's just a character I really like, you know? Like, for example, in SF, I played Makoto. DOA, you know, DOA 5 is a little unique, but, you know, because I used the Virtua Fighter characters, but it was Lei Fang. At first it was Mila because I liked her tackles. Like, the whole thing with the tackles, it kind of reminded me of Makoto. It was like, oh, I got something to break your guard or whatever. You know, just go through it with a grab. You can counter me if you want, but you need to know that it's happening. And for Soul Calibur, it was always Tira, no matter what. At least like from 3 onwards. You know, I played him before that, but for Tira, it's just, I just like everything she does. Like, I like personality, I like everything that she, the like, come on, man, hula hoop. You hurt yourself with she hurts herself with it. It's crazy, man. I don't know. There's also another thing where it's like, if I'm not familiarized with the IP, not that I need to be familiar with the IP, but rather it needs to be an established IP for me sometimes. For me to be like, not that BlazBlue wasn't an established IP at the time. It was, but it was still, it didn't come out in the 90s. That's for sure. It wasn't, you know, I didn't really grow up with the memory of looking at these characters, so I didn't really feel anything anyway on top of that. So that might have had one thing to do with it, you know. My friend kicking my fucking ass pretty fucking bad, to be honest with you. But you know, and I play with my friends. They'd be like, I don't see what you're doing wrong. I don't see why you're complaining. You know, da da da. Just play it. But sometimes I'm not that simple. What I want to do and what actually happens is just opposites, man. Like, and it sucks that these new fighting games are kind of because this really, honestly, I went through the whole book of a whole list of fighting games where I'm like, I can't mess with it. I just can't jive with it. You know. My friend says he disagrees with the whole concept of, you know, you play one fighting game, you play fighting games. You know? And I see what he's saying there, man. It's like, you don't play fighting games unless you play more than one fighting game, at least. I play at least more than one fighting game, but one of them is dead, and the other one just has a bad entry right now that no one really gives a shit about. So there's that. And, you know, he can get into a whole bunch of other random games. He has his reasons for not liking a few particular titles either. He definitely does. And I think we're kind of opposites. Like, I like a little bit more moderate pace, maybe more grounded. I don't really care if it's grounded or not per se. I actually do like jumping a lot, believe it or not. He likes more things with way more offensive options and stuff like that, which I told him, you know, there's some games that have that. You know, we got into KOF because of it. But then we started seeing the limitations of KOF. And I was actually more like Street Fighter, of course, you know, fundamentally, than, say, anime games. You know, maybe KOF 13 was a little different because the HD combos, all that shit, man. That shit was nuts. But, you know, if anyone sees this video, what do you recommend for someone who plays the entirety of the Street Fighter series? I'm cool with, and Virtua Fighter for the most part. I'm playing Soul Calibur 6 currently, but you know that shit's pretty much dead. Online, you play online, you get the most random motherfuckers. This shit's so stupid. It's so stupid. Tekken 7, don't even talk to me about that game. That shit is just tricha, fucking tricha, trash. That's what that means. I mean, you know, look what happened with the pros, man. You got someone like fucking Knee crying. He's crying. What shit is this? You never heard of this stuff happening before, man. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. Yeah, but that's it, really. My rant is over. What I wanted to say was that was it. You know? But yeah.